So it is 3:20 a.m. and we have finally completed in a very appropriate hour the third installment of the Death Whisperer horror movie franchise that I have been indulging in for the last 2 days. And if you've seen my last two reviews, aren't like my highest viewed videos, but it's expected. This is such a niche film, and it's one that not a lot of people speak of. So this third video is very much for the people who have been following along for the last two reviews of part one and part two. And a few of you have been super great reaching out to me on Instagram, letting me know you're watching along with me, and a couple of you guys in the comment section too. So this is pretty much just a recap of how we're feeling without spoiling a single thing for those who just happen to make it to this review after watching the first two, still haven't seen nothing of the films, and are curious about what my notions are in terms of this third installment and overall the franchise. So this kind of feels like a watch along, which, you know what? Write that down. Write that down, guys, to remind me, because I'm going to forget even if I write it down, that I want to do a watch along with you guys when we get big enough. Maybe by October, I'll do a Halloween watch along, one horror movie every week until Halloween. That'd be nice. That'd be cool. So we're gonna do that. But anyway, that's way fucking over there. If you've been following along the story of Yak and his family, the first film we dealt with a starting off by the numbers demonic possession film about a family of farmers who are dealing with a ghoul who is kidnapping, or who is not kidnapping, sorry, that's the third movie, who is possessing the youngest in the family. Or the second youngest, the middle child in the family of the girls. The second one deals with revenge. Yak is headed off to the forest where he meets a group of villagers who are after the same ghoul who committed these atrocities in the first film. We hate this bitch, so we're coming after this bitch, not on her. The villagers are an interesting bunch. We're met with one hell of a rambunctious glow-up of a second installment that leans as far away from what the Conjuring influence was for part one, and leans heavy into the Ash Evil Dead 2 vibes, wholeheartedly. In this third installment, we lean heavily into other influences intermingled with the Evil Deadisms, if you will. One of the influences that I caught on to very early on was a Temple of Doom, of course, Indiana Jones. And with a full heart, I can say that some of this is also very much seemingly influenced by Brendan Fraser's The Mummy Returns. And I will get into why, but this third film, just could not stop at Evil Dead. It took two other properties that are, swashbuckling anthropological adventures, and then just added it into the crock pot of crazy shit that this franchise has been doing since the last half of part one. I'm ecstatic about this franchise. Like, I'm a full-on fan, and I hope they don't stop anytime soon. And from the looks of it, we might get a fourth one. But I digress. So this one follows Yak in the forest once again, looking for a cult responsible for kidnapping one of his sisters. This cult very much worships the ghoul responsible for all of the atrocities in the first two films. What's great about this one is that now this adventure is a family endeavor. Not only is it Yak, but it's, and I'm going to fuck this up, Yad and Yas. They all have Y names. That's just how they did it. I didn't write the movie. How these kids didn't get picked on at school, I don't know how. I got picked on for less. We find our heroes, now a family endeavor, so it's not just the villagers. We do come across a tribe that becomes very much part of the supporting cast. But this is a full-on adventure with the family and the shaman, who is known as Sarge from the second film. So we have this little ragtag group of characters who we've fallen in love with I've fallen in love with these characters since the first film. They are so endearing and they're so funny, and it just feels authentic whenever they're on screen talking about to each other at the dinner table. Like, everyone, both these last two films start with you getting to know the family in the living room as they're having their exchanges with one another, and you get those dynamics immediately. So I'm just absolutely in love with these characters. I'm endeared to these characters. Like, these characters have carried these three films in such a way that I don't see in a lot of films. And I mentioned last review that the family dynamic in here is something that is so new to me in horror films, because usually when you have families, right, it's usually a broken family, right? And the dad is a deadbeat, the mom is about to die, but all you got is a deadbeat dad who beats his kids, or the dad is dead and the mom is, you know, suffering and enduring, and it's a tough time for everybody. This is such a wholesome picture of a family of 8 people who just love each other. You don't really see that in films or in a lot of mediums, actually. Somehow it's a rule that in any narrative there has to be a tragedy, and that tragedy needs to be that you were raised by one parent, always. But here we have a wholesome family that very much is, yes, a supporting cast. Obviously Yak is the main character, and one of the sisters here, the youngest, but these supporting characters actually feel like they're supporting the main character. Like, they are funny, they're there to help, they're there to be an active part of the story. And I enjoyed this so much because we went from just Yak going on an adventure with a bunch of random villagers to his family. So now there's even more stakes. Now you're like, damn, like, we're in a group full of people. You know, we're in a group full of people we love. This is a horror film. Somebody's gonna die. And the whole time I'm just like, man, don't let it be who I think it is. I was right, but I'm not going to tell you who I thought it was. You're going to suffer through it yourself. Now we're tracking down this cult who has kidnapped the youngest sister. The reason that they've kidnapped her has to do with bringing back the ghoul who we beat in the second film back from her slumber. And that's how I'll leave it so that you guys don't get too much of the backstory. But there is a actually really great backstory to this ghoul, this entity, and why she is as evil as she is. She absolutely is one of Satan's concubines because she is such a horrible entity. You've seen it through all the things she's put the family through. She takes so much glee in this shit, and it makes her fun to watch because she actually feels threatening, not just some ghoul. Like, she has personality. There is a tragic story to her that I was actually very surprised, because most of the time an origin story for a villain is really not that interesting. And in here, what happened to her when she was alive is so devastating. And this is how the movie opens. Part 2 and part 3, they have such devastating, brutal, violent, chaotic intros that they've really set a standard for, like, cold opens for me now. The second one starts with a literal war. In 3, we do something so fucked up, and I loved it because we pushed it, and that's it. They weren't scared to push that to really show you why she is the way she is. Completely vindicates why she's so fucking psychotic. As we progress through the forest, we are back into the fun shit all over again, all right? And this is where the Temple of Doom and the Mummy return influences come in. Because now we have him in a bluer shirt. Like, we had him in a blue shirt to show, like, hey, this is our Ash Williams. The shirt is bluer now, so now he's in full gear right now. Now he's evolved. He is Super Saiyan 4, like, he is there. You know, fuck, Super Saiyan Blue, like, he's there. He has a sort of index of knowledge about how to fight these things along with the shaman. And now we're back in the forest, and a lot of the things that we didn't touch about the forest in the second one, we touch here, which is so exciting. Like, we talk about the forest gods and what they do. And the second one, we just kind of talked about them because we were dealing with so much. But in here, we show what the forest gods do when you don't treat the forest with respect. There is a scene underwater that is so fantastic. It was already good enough. Then we have the balls to do something that is so out there and so risky, in that we just really genuinely push the bar of what is fantasy in this film, while still keeping it in the horror space. But, like, we do something that is so anime, and it's just so badass, and I was applauding when they pulled it off. And then we have this cult of immortal women who are worshiping the entity and hoping that they can bring her back by using the vessel of the sister to bring her back. There's also something there, but I'm not going to spoil it, but it involves a baby. And all these things work to give the film a lot of stake because, again, the sister is kidnapped. Everybody in the family is pursuing this. Someone's going to die. There's a lot at risk here. Now, the cult members responsible for kidnapping the sister are terrifying to look at. Like, they're not, the basis for them, like the base foundation for their appearance is absolutely like the most version of a witch, the most terrifying version of a witch that you can imagine. Now, set her on fire and try to put the fire off with honey and oil, and then put water on it, and then set it on fire again. That is what you're getting. These witches are hideous. They are absolutely hideous, and it works because they feel so inhuman. Like, they feel so far from their human roots because they have endured so much to bring this entity back to life, and so much ache and so much pain and so much grief that they're unrecognizable. There are these two witches that when they first appear, they look like they're stuck together, and what they do with their bodies as the first thing you see them do is so terrifying and such a killer intro to like your villains. Like, we need that. Like, your villains should eternally aura farm for the rest of the film. What's cool about the witches is that their power set is almost endless. They'll have you thinking that you're speaking to someone you're not speaking to. They manipulate reality that goes beyond hallucinations in order to fucking kill you or make you kill yourself or make you kill someone you love. And what's cool is that on a couple occasions, I couldn't tell like that was a hallucination, which is a rare thing because usually in films they kind of telegraph it. There's one scene in particular where I was like, okay, good, she's safe. She wasn't. And I was like, oh no, you're fucked. And it was just cool to see them subvert the anticipation that comes with a horror film. And this movie's full of it. The creature designs on this go far above and beyond what they did in the second. And I didn't think that could get any better because 2 is such a great sequel. There's some prosthetic makeup in this shit that is absolutely jaw-dropping. That when you look at it, you're like, that's nightmare fuel. Absolutely. They just do such a great job with everything. From the set design, like this is a real forest. They shot around it so well. And then when it's a set, like a cave or something where there's a big set piece, the set design for that cave is beautiful. And even when we get to that part of the film, because there's a whole section where towards the latter half where we're in a cave and we're dealing with other things, they pull things that feel like they're out of mythology. They pull things that are out of The Mummy, and this is where the Mummy influences come in. Very much so, very much Temple of Doom is towards the last half of this film, where we're dealing with sacrifice and we're dealing with some of those angles that you would find very familiar, as well as the score. The score for this sounded so much like The Mummy Returns, and some of the effects when we kill some of these creatures and they kind of poof, reminded me a lot of The Mummies when, Brendan Fraser is fighting with, Rick O'Connell's fighting with his curved sword, and then they just kind of evaporate into sand. There's a lot of that here, and it's a film that goes like, I want to take from this shit that is nostalgically fun from the US and I want to make it wholly my own. And they know how to make it their own. Like, I recognize these things, absolutely. They're not by accident. I mean, come on, he's wearing Ash's blue shirt. But what's crazy is that the amount of freedom they take with some of this homages by doing something completely different and letting what they're copying just be like the start of it. It's just the start. Overall, the stakes are bigger here. The horror is a lot crazier here. I would still say that by small margin, 2 is my favorite just because it was such a surprise of a glow up from the first one. And I can't forget it, but this is such a solid horror franchise that knows exactly what it needs to be, which is fun. And if you're going to nitpick this movie, you're, by all means, you're probably going to nitpick maybe a little bit of the special effects, which are still a little rough, but I mean, they still do such a good job with everything else that, again, I'm not going to nitpick it, but it looks so good. And some of the special effects, when they need to be perfect, they're pulled off very well, particularly towards a big creature thing that they do in the end that I did not expect. And I was like, this is insane. Like, I feel like I'm watching a manga come to life, or a comic book where, like, in comic books, it's free to draw whatever the fuck you want to draw. And that's the reality of what people are going to read. In films, you need money. And it's like they didn't care. They just said, let's put this here, let's put that there, let's fuck it, do it, do it. It's probably the most fun horror franchise that I have seen, where every installment thus far has been such a joy to watch, with a great cast of characters, an incredible fucking Scream King, man. He is a badass. He is it. He is it. It's Ash Williams and then it's him. That's it. I dare you tell me different. Ash Williams and him, they're literally the same person. This one just knows kung fu. Like, that's it. He's roundhouse kicking demons. The shit is awesome. There is one shot that blew my mind away. It was the last few minutes of the fight sequence, or the action sequence that we're wrapping the movie up with. And there is a scene, there is a visual, very vague visual of what hell would look like. And I was like, that is haunting. That's so fucking cool. What the hell? And it felt like I had been watching the other scene that happened underwater. This movie's just full of like poster worthy shots. Like the framing, it's just so in your face. It's so cathartic. It's so crazy. It's so silly. Again, I'm not going to poke holes in a movie that doesn't need to be poked at, because this movie, if you're in for the ride from the second half of part one, you are going to be in for the rest of this film. This needs to be a franchise that we're talking in the same, under the same breath and in the same lung as like Conjuring or Evil Dead. Like, hey, isn't The Conjuring good? And then I walk along and I go, yeah, it's okay. But have you seen Death Whisperers? All three? No? I got you. That's the kind of interaction we need to be having right now. And then completely respect the fact that it is absolutely, taking from the greats, but totally making it its own. This is the way that you do influence. And I got giddy seeing like Temple of Doom, Evil Dead, and The Mummy Returns in this in such a way that was just like, this director just knows how to make a fun fucking film. They even filmed part 3 and part 2 to be in IMAX in Thailand. So, and I can see why, because the visuals of the third act would kill in IMAX, and the forestation alone, my God, that would kill in IMAX. So like, yeah, I don't know, group trip, what's up? I'm gonna fuck off now, because if I get this edited in time, I might actually go to bed before 5 a.m. So thank you guys for listening to me. I appreciate you. Thank you for all the comments and all the fun shit you guys say. And as always, I will see you at the movies.